YouTube, who needs the moon when you have a superstar on the electronic couch of the Life Game Show? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the man, the longest running member of Power, Shane Johnson. You guys know him, aka Cooper Saxe. Mr. Shane, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be
Great,
here.
great to have you. And of course, when the celebs come out, I got to give you the red carpet treatment. So you get the Hollywood ovation. Here you go.
Easy.
That's one smile done already. That's one good smile we've gotten from you, my man. So talk to me, Shane. How did you get your journey in acting started? I think it's very fair to say from the people that love you in Power, there's a term they use in the comics where they say that a villain or a bad guy can be an anti-hero. I think you're one of the foremost anti-agonists in a story that we've seen. So just talk to me about how you got into acting and what got you started.
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, I thought I was going to be a baseball player. That's what I really wanted to do. And then, but I always liked to entertain. And my favorite, when I was really young, my passion was dancing, actually. Mm-hmm. And I got really into breakdancing. And I don't know how old you are, but there were a couple of movies. Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo was one of them, which is an awesome movie. That's where like Turbo and Ozone and stuff like that.
Right.
And then it just blew my mind watching those guys dance and watching Michael Jackson coming up, being a fan of his. And, I just fell in love with dancing. And I think what it really was is the art of just like performing and making people happy and finding an expression that wasn't just like there right away, but that you had to like put some of your heart and soul into to bring to life. So that was my entree into the arts. And then when I was like 14, people just kind of were like, dude, you have to do these. You have to do a play. You've got to go audition for something. And so I went and I auditioned for the school play. Okay. I lived in a little tiny farm town. And at the time I was like, I was living in a trailer park, you know what I mean? In the middle of Washington State. Nobody was an actor from there. And so it wasn't like I was thinking, oh, I'm going to go be a star. It was like, okay, fine. I'll go audition for this play. And I told the director, I don't want to have any lines because I'll do your stupid play, but I don't want to have to talk because I was just embarrassed. I was nervous, And so I did, my first play was You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. Oh. And I played Snoopy's cousin, Tumbleweed. And all I would do, because he wasn't actually in the play. They just sort of, all right, Shane doesn't want to say anything. So I just would roll across the stage like a tumbleweed once in a while. And it was ridiculous. And then 3 days before the show opened, the guy that was playing Snoopy got kicked out. And the director looked at me and was like, Shane, we need you, man. You got to do this. We open in 3 days. And so I was like, I didn't really have the ability to say no. So anyway, I did Snoopy, and the response from the audience and just the expression, the way it made me feel, the girls, the whole thing, I was hooked. Now I thought I was awesome. Right. And I was like, oh my God, I'm really good at this. And then maybe about 10 years ago or so, I saw a VHS tape of it. I was terrible. I was terrible. I mean, but that being said, I didn't know at the time. I mean, I guess the expectation was pretty low or something, but.
You was a young guy. You was pretty young when you done that, right?
I was like 13, 14. And then I just really developed into a really good actor. By the time I graduated from high school, I got a full ride scholarship to go study. I studied at a liberal arts college, the same college that Leela went to, who plays Angela. We both went to Whitman College in Walla Walla, Washington, strange little town in the southeast of Washington State. And then I studied in London, and at a place called Lambda, which is one of the best joints on earth, really, to study acting. And then that's where I booked my first film, and then kind of the rest is history.
Yeah, man. You spoke about my age, and I'll tell you this: are you familiar with Layla's birthday?
Leela's birthday? I know. I don't know her. I can't remember her actual birthday, but I know that she's about 3 years younger than I am.
Me and her are born on the exact same day, the exact same year.
Oh, so you're like 42.
41.
41. Okay.
Yep. And so I'm right there with you. I grew up during the Michael Jackson dance era, but I got to give you credit and courage. Ain't nobody want to see me dance. Seeing me dance would be like seeing a slug on ice skates. It just ain't happening the right way you want it to happen. So dancing wasn't going to be my thing, but I'm very glad that it was a way to catapult you into doing some great artwork. But besides your acting, you're doing producing, you're doing animation, you're writing, and you're talking about doing reality TV. Talk about how the arts has expanded your diversity in creating entertainment.
Absolutely. Well, I think, listen, I think when somebody has an artistic heart like you do, like I do,
right?
Sometimes we feel like, okay, so then I'm going to be a dancer, I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be a writer, I'm going to be a director, I'm going to be a graphic artist, I'm going to be a painter. Like people sort of jump into a certain category of what kind of artist they are. But the truth is that if you scratch that itch a little bit, a lot of the arts kind of speak to the same part of your brain and your soul, like for me, writing, when I sit down and write something and I really craft something and put my heart and soul into it, I get just as much out of that as I do from my acting.
Really?
Sure. And sometimes even more, because, with acting, I'm limited to the parameters of what's handed to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not, listen, just a quick little story, which will kind of be interesting to some people that may watch this. Like when I first auditioned for the show, I auditioned for Tommy, right?
Really?
Yeah. And I think most people would agree that like they're not going to look at me and go, oh, it's Tommy, But that being said, I'll be honest with you. If you met Joe Sikora in life and you talk to him for a minute, he's not like Tommy either. He's definitely created a character, which is incredible. And
right.
So that's when I went and met Courtney and all that. But right away, it was kind of like a bit of an organ reject for me, where it was like, this isn't really my casting.
Right.
And then I got a few weeks later, I came back for Greg Knox, which was Angela's boyfriend.
Right.
And that was a little closer, maybe a little too squeaky clean, sort of thing. But Andy Bean nailed it. And then I got the breakdown for Cooper Saxe. And here's the thing that's interesting. As soon as it said he's a prick, he's he's privileged, smug, like all the sort of things that it kind of laid out about him, I was like, oh, this is my part. And it's funny because I don't really think that I'm any of those things. I'm not like some highly educated, highly privileged dude, but that's irrelevant, man. When I walk in the door and I open my mouth, and that's what people see. And so that's why I was like, okay, this is my casting. This is like my first circle of casting. I can, of course, branch out and do other things, but immediately that's how people see me. And that's a great weapon to have. And sometimes also it can be a hindrance because a lot of people want to do other stuff. So my point is as a writer, I can write anything I want. There's the sky's the limit. When it comes to my acting, until I'm a huge star and people go, what do you want to do? We'll just we'll build something around you, or offers start coming in, and I can just go, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And people go, yeah, hey, we got Shane. Let's just make it happen. Until that comes, God willing, I'm kind of, to a degree, I have to work with what's handed to me. I can't, you know what I mean? So like, I'm not writing Cooper Saxe.
Right.
Now, granted, it is a marriage because the writers see me and see what I'm doing with the part, and so then they write to my strengths. and we kind of like, it becomes a dance between me and the writing team, sort of as the character organically grows over the years. But mostly it's the writers, you know?
And from what I've learned, a lot of actors tend to play the complete opposite of who they are extremely well. I know a lot of people who've said that they could never envision themselves being a villain. You just told us and everybody that you're not a prick, but the character you play, you was able to embody him to a point where you made the audience extremely polarized. They loved you, they hated you, and now it looks like they're going to be loving you again. And we'll get to that later on in this interview. And that's a testament to the work you put in your craft. But for you to say you're not a big star, hold on, let me pump the brakes on you on that one. You've been acting. You started in Private Ryan in 1998. And from then till now, you're credited with almost 60 different projects. And so I had to do some digging, Mr. Shane. I found something you did in 2003. Let's take a quick look at it. We should have seen you coming because this was you in the making.
What did you boys do tonight?
Three friends must face a shadow from the past.
Talk to me. That is Black Cadillac from 2003. You played Scott. And hey, I can look at that and tell you was ready to do something. You was knocking on the door of Hollywood like, let me on in there. Talk to me a little bit about what your experience was doing that film.
Man, that was so much fun. That was maybe my second time starring in a movie, like as the lead character. And it was just so much fun to really get the opportunity to really craft a. Can you?
Started as a.
We have a little hiccup there.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. Are we back?
Yep.
Yeah. So just getting the opportunity to, craft a whole character arc and relationships and to carry a movie, to carry a movie like that was so much fun. And the director, John Merlowski, who also wrote it, is a good friend. And Jason Doring, who played my little brother, he's got an incredible career going for him too, from Veronica Mars to that Vampire Immortal show. I can't remember the name of it, The Originals maybe, or something like that. Right. But they've and then obviously Randy Quaid, who's infamous at this point. But we had a great time, and I actually think most people that have seen that movie, it kind of has a cult following. People really enjoyed it, and like another, I've done a couple of these movies that it's weird, when you do them, you think. And I can't tell you, man, most actors have these moments many times in their life where they do something and they're like, okay, this is the thing that's going to put me on the map. And you just know it. You're just like, oh, this is it, man. I'm killing this part. I'm putting everything into it. Wait till people get a load of me. And then, nothing happens. And so there's a little bit of right place, right time for some things. I mean, the same thing with Power, right? Like Power was very unique in the Stars universe. Stars hadn't produced anything like Power. Mm-hmm. They were doing like Da Vinci's Demons and Spartacus and
Outlander
and Spanish Queen and Black Sails, pirate shows. And it was like all kinds of like historical dramas. And then all of a sudden they do a contemporary urban drama with sex and violence and drugs and all that kind of stuff. And it puts them on the map.
Right.
So you just, you just never know. You never know. I mean, when this thing started, we were just hoping to get a couple seasons and just hoping that we caught an audience. We had no idea.
And it turned out well. And that's a good transition point to get me onto that roadmap of Power. So talk to me a little bit about how do you go about selecting the roles you play? So what was it that made you say, this Cooper Saxe, I think I can do this? What was the mindset for you to select that role?
Well, I think the most important approach for me when it comes to Cooper Saxe is to not judge him.
Okay.
And I think that's true for a lot of these dark hero sort of characters. I'm not saying that I'm a dark hero. I'm kind of more like, you know, an antagonist or whatever. But in reality, every character is the hero of their own story. Right. Nobody in life, very few people I would think are actually evil, right? Most people think I'm the good guy, and they justify their behavior.
Exactly.
So it's a matter of thinking that I'm right. I just think I just kind of have that arrogance, but I don't go around going, Cooper Saxe is arrogant. It's nobody goes, I'm arrogant. What they do is they go, I'm smarter than all these guys. And they just kind of know that they're smarter than them. And they just think they just kind of have better ideas. And they feel justified in their behavior. And so that's how I have to approach Cooper Saxe. He thinks he's doing everything right. You know, in the grand scheme of things. He doesn't think he's a jerk. He just is, you know? And so for me, my approach to him is I love him. I'm like, man, this guy's doing everything right. And he's making good choices. And it's the system that's broken. It's not him, you know? And,
right.
And so that justification is the only way I can play it, because if I judge him, then then as an actor, when I play Cooper Saxe, I've got to kind of act at something.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right. I completely understand what you're saying.
It's like if you hate, for a random example, if you're playing Donald Trump and you hate Donald Trump, then how do you play that part other than to just mock it? You know what I mean? How do you really sink into it and make it believable that you're playing that character if you're completely judging it the whole time? So you got to kind of twist your mind to kind of, maybe that's a bad example. You're going, God, Donald Trump, maybe, but it's.
I'm going. If you spray tan me properly, add 60 more pounds to me, give me that nice funny hairdo, even though I hate his ass, I can show you a good Donald Trump.
Yeah, you'd have to do it. You'd have to do it by not judging him, by going, hey, I'm Donald Trump. I own the world. Everything. He actually just believes those things. He doesn't think he's an asshole. He just is.
Right.